Sag Nasty.
Yeah, all right. So that is awesome about Detroit because I'm like, where is this guy born? It's funny, it's my own brother, and like it's been a long time, obviously, to ask that. So after I don't think you really even lived in Detroit. The first house you kind of lived in was in the city, right?
Was in the city. Yeah, we were in a street
Saginaw
called
City.
Maple Saginaw City on the
Hmm.
in the side called street called Maplewood, and
Okay, okay.
um so we were over in the Saginaw, the city side of it, and we stayed in Maplewood. I remember elementary school. I did kindergarten and first grade at I think it's called Longfellow.
That's
So I
right. Yeah, it was
yeah,
right by the house.
right. Well, I remember it being by the highway.
Yeah,
I don't
I remember it
remember.
was by the house. Oh, I think I remember it was by the house. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. So I went to Longfellow for just first 2 years, and then
Do you remember
um,
anything from Longfellow?
not really. I
That's what
don't
I
remember any of the
figured.
the teachers or anything. I don't really have any strong memories of that.
That's
Nothing
what I
good or
thought.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then you moved out to Carlton is
yep,
right after that, right? That's what I
yeah.
wanted to
Right
get
after
to
that,
then.
yeah,
So like
yep.
your
So that
main house, which is different than me. So you're I'm not even born yet still, which is
nope.
cool. So you're just like a single, well, not single, only child. You born in Detroit. You moved to Saginaw very quickly. You start elementary school out in the city, and then you move to Carlton, and you start going to school there.
Yep, yep. And that's
And
really
this
where
is
my
like your
go ahead. Yeah.
house. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, and that's really kind of where the childhood memories start to sink in for me is being out in Carlton. Um, there is a picture of me holding you as a baby. I had some Dallas Cowboy pajamas on, and so
Okay.
I'm not sure if you've seen that picture or not. But
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
to get
Or maybe
to
not.
your original question, that's the first time I remember, really me being a big brother and you coming into the world. So yeah, so is that yeah, that's gonna say yeah, because I think you were born in Saginaw, and then Carlton, right on Lorraine, would have been your like kind of first house,
That's my
and that's
first house, but for
yeah,
people unfamiliar, our parents got divorced right around that time. And so I didn't spend, like, my first memories weren't there. I'll say it like that.
right,
So
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have
exactly right,
memories of Carlton, like being raised in Carlton. I mean, later on, of course, we go there
right,
because dad
right,
stayed on. But my first memories didn't start there. And it's so cool,
mhm.
like as you can feel it now, right? Your start is so much different than mine, and it's
Yes,
so
yes,
cool to shed light on it more. It's like, wow, you're born in Detroit, first of all. Like
yep,
I can't say like born in Detroit, raised in Saginaw. It's like born and raised in Saginaw, which is so cool. And we're in the same house. We're in the same house, same parents, and suddenly the
yeah,
perspective like branches off right from the get-go. I mean, we'll
yeah,
get into like the family dynamic is different from my perspective too because of divorce too, which is so cool. So Carlton, you had some friends there, you have memories there. Tell me a little bit about the Carlton experience.
yeah. Carlton was it's really interesting because it's definitely more rural. Um, going from Saginaw being in a much more urban space than really kind of out on the edge of the metropolitan area, different things like that. So I do remember a lot of country, a lot of fields, cornfields, and the school, just on a very flat part of land. You had the sugar beets, the smell of that. Pioneer Sugar is right down the street, a couple miles, but you could smell that. And so it just had a very farm feel to it. And so I think, Saginaw is very interesting because, again, it cuts across a lot of socioeconomic situations. And um, yeah, there's some racism. And so I think that was kind of when the first time I started to feel that I was different.
Wow,
There
that was my question. I
are
didn't think it would be that early. Okay.
Yeah, so in that, I learned pretty early on. I was the only, token black kid in the class,
Even in
and
Carlton.
even in Carlton, yeah. So very
Wow.
early on, our babysitter at the time had some friends come over, and a babysitter and her kids were fine. They had two of them. I never felt any like I was othered or anything like that. I do have some memories of you were babysitted by them as well.
Mm.
Like you were there all day. Then after school, I would walk. I could literally walk from the school to their house, and then mom would come.
Mm.
Then mom would come pick us up
Wow.
after work. But anyway, so the babysitter had some other friends come over, and they had a little girl with her. So she came up to me and she started rubbing my hand, and I was just like, "This is a weird way for a little girl to play with me. Like, what's going on?" And
Mm-hmm.
so the little girl goes to her mother. She goes, "It won't. The dirt won't come off."
Wow.
And the parents, I was like, "What does that mean?" Like, we had been playing or whatever, and I'm like, "I'm not dirty. I don't have mud on me." But then the parents' reaction like showed me that, oh, this is racism. This is something different, because the mom got really, really embarrassed. And so apparently it was the first time that this little girl had seen, a black person. And so um, it it still stings with me and sits with me. And there's some issues a little bit with the teachers, things like that. And yeah, Carlton was interesting.
Mm.